The unexpected collapse of Jana Duggar shakes the family. The lives of the silent caretakers are in jeopardy. What took place if the strongest individual in the room, the one who never complains, falters, or seeks for assistance, is the one who unexpectedly breaks down, which is just what happened to Jana Duggar. The center of a home based on discipline and religion, a peaceful afternoon quickly devolved into a chaotic medical situation, leaving her loved ones terrified and frantically seeking answers. This is a wake-up call for a family and for all of us to recognize the invisible power we frequently take for granted. It's not only a health issue. What led to her fall? Was it avoidable? And how is the family handling the situation now that their rock is in need of help? Stay with us, because what transpired within the Duggar home will alter your perspective on resilience, accountability, and the weight of being the strong one. This is not merely a novel tale. This is a human story, and there is still more to be done. Those closest to Jana Duggar are in shock, fear, and a state of panic about the sudden danger that suddenly befell her. The calm and quiet member of a well-known conservative family, John, is frequently referred to as the strong one. Composed in public, calm in times of crisis, and constantly perceived as the one who bears hardships without complaining. However, recent events have fundamentally altered that perception. Even those who were physically present when it happened were rendered speechless by the series of events that almost descended into a full-blown tragedy because they happened so abruptly. It was meant to be a calm afternoon, a typical day in the garden, something Jana enjoys and finds peaceful. She has long sought solace in nature, frequently discussing how planting, pruning, and clearing the ground keeps her centered. However, what began as a typical day swiftly turned into a situation that tried her family's emotional fortitude on all fronts. An unexpected medical crisis. Her safe sanctuary became a crisis area as she collapsed, losing her breath, and the air surrounding her became immobile. The ensuing seconds were chaotic. A sibling's cry for assistance. After hearing the disturbance, a neighbor burst in. A family member with shaking hands calling emergency services. In a matter of minutes, Jana was being carried into an ambulance, her breathing uneven, her pulse weak. It seemed surreal to witness a woman in such a vulnerable situation after spending the majority of her adult life providing care for others. The Duggar family found it even more terrifying because of how unpredictable everything was. There had been no prior indications of illness or exhaustion, nor any cautions. Jana had really been laughing at lunch a few hours ago about plans for a project she was really excited about. Her energy was lively, and her face was beaming with joy. The thing that really shocked everyone concerned was the contrast between a hopeful morning and a terrifying afternoon. The doctors at the emergency room acted swiftly. 4 lines were connected, and the monitors beeped in a hurried beat. Vital indicators were monitored carefully. There were only questions and no answers for the first few hours. Was it a neurological episode, a cardiac event, or something chronic that had gone undiagnosed for too long? The strain was increased by the lack of clarity. Shortly after, Bub and Michelle arrived at the hospital, their hands linked in silent prayer as they awaited updates. The concept of John being in the center of such a dramatic issue is hard for anyone who are familiar with the Dugg family's public image. Her role as a caregiver to her younger siblings, particularly during the years of televised family life, made her a symbol of quiet strength. Her struggle in need of care support and medical intervention struck a deeply emotional chord with her family as well as with fans who followed her journey from childhood into womanhood. She has long been portrayed as the dependable daughter, the one who handles chaos with shame and rarely asks for help herself. Her siblings displayed an uncommon level of unadulterated vulnerability as a result of the circumstance. A normally stoic sibling was observed pacing the hallway outside the hospital room with his eyes glazed and his teeth tightened. A sister, unable to remain motionless, gripped a blanket. And amid all of this, there was quiet. The kind of quiet that envelops families at their most difficult moments when words fail and just mutual terror is left. Although the family first decided to keep quiet and concentrate on Jenna's care and recovery, word of the tragedy circulated within hours. However, by the following morning, the situation's truth started to spread around the town, inspiring a wave of support from supporters, neighbors, and even people who had previously disagreed with the family. Social media was inundated with messages, expressions of astonishment, encouragement, and prayers. Doctors continued their evaluations behind the scenes. Tests included neurological scans, imaging of the heart and lungs, and blood panels. Even if the cause wasn't immediately identified, it was evident that although Jana's health had improved, she was still vulnerable. Although she was awake and confused, she was obviously feeble. Her voice was weak when she spoke. Her ideas were disorganized. However, her mother put her hand in hers and muttered, "We're here." A tear trickled down her cheek, combining fear, thanks, and appreciation into one drop. The days that followed were a roller coaster of feelings. The family alternated being by her side. Every phone ring sent a shockwave through whoever was holding it, and meals were consumed while on the run. Her closest siblings organized everything, including prayer circles and medication reminders. One even handed her a tiny bouquet of flowers that Jana had planted herself and were now growing, seemingly to reassure their caregiver. Jana is said to have murmured to her sister, "I don't remember falling," during one of the more poignant moments. It was a striking comment since it expressed the truth as well as the depth of her confusion. Even the strongest people can suddenly collapse, and those who have always relied on them must muster the strength to catch them. Eventually, medical experts were consulted for additional assessments. Theories included everything from an abrupt drop in blood pressure to an uncommon neurological syncope to even bodily reactions linked to stress. Doctors recommended prolonged monitoring, lifestyle changes, and rigorous rest for the foreseeable future, even if testing did not reveal significant structural damage. Once the lifeblood of the home, Jana had to learn to take breaks and relax so that others could take care of her. The tragedy made everyone in the family, as well as their larger network of friends and allies, think about it. In a private moment shared through a close friend, a family member reportedly remarked, "Maybe this is God's way of reminding us that Jan is not just the strong one, she's human too." More importantly, how often had Jonah's needs been neglected as her own were buried under the weight of responsibility? How long had she carried silent fatigue? That remark struck a chord. It changed the way the family talked. It inspired younger siblings to take the initiative and check in more frequently so they could listen. Even though she was still weak, Jana was released at the end of the week and taken home while her family watched over her. A nurse was scheduled for the evenings. Her room, which had always been simple and functional, was now stuffed with cards, messages, and small comforts from her caregivers after a home health specialist developed a recovery regimen. Even if the most hazardous part of the experience is over, the effects of that day will probably last for a very long time. It served as a wake-up call for the Duggar family about not only health, but also the value of seeing the invisible, respecting those who bear silent burdens, and, most importantly, cherishing those we take for granted. The path to Jana's rehabilitation will be a long one, but it is lined with love. Despite being put to the test, her perseverance is unwavering. She is no longer alone in bearing the burden, even though the future may be uncertain. Her family has been upended but maybe also realigned. If this experience teaches us anything, it is that even the strongest people need to rest, even the quietest pleas should be heard, and even the calmest hearts can falter. The love that accompanies the recovery is more significant than the fall. I appreciate you watching. Remember to subscribe to our channel so you can see the following video.